I'm alive! Yay! Here's the thing that's happening. Okay, I connected and I'm doing things. Uh, I'm doing things. Hold on, let me shut this off. Hold on. I connected and I'm doing things. Okay, now I should maybe have turned on my microphone. See, I planned to go live. See, I did. I planned this. And then I wasn't even ready for it because that's what kind of person I am right now. But look, this Ethiopian Bible, I know, like, well, actually, I am quite sure people know what the hell it is. And I'm sure people also know what the hell it means. But nobody's fucking telling me. Nobody's telling me what it means. Really, nobody's telling me anything, which is shit. But it's happening. See, things are happening, and I don't know what they are. But things are happening everywhere all the time. See, I don't fucking know what any of this shit means. I'm doing things. But anyway, hello, Candy. How are you? It's great to see you, even though I have no fucking idea what's happening. Because I have no fucking idea what's happening. But do you know anything about this Ethiopian Bible? Because I do not know anything about this Ethiopian Bible. Well, yes, I do. I know that it's full of shit. The Book of Jubilees. But again, I could not get through that book because it was bullshit. And I can explain myself, but I'm not here for that. I'm here for this Book of Enoch. It is kept in the temple. Hold on. I can't I can't read that. But hi, Sheriff Hector. Thank you. He always likes my stuff. He never comes and visits. Yeah, no, I fucking have it. Okay. Okay. I have the $18 version of that book. It has a lot of the same books that the Catholic Bible has in it. But I was convinced to buy this book because, well, it just goes right along with Genesis. Yeah, it just goes right along with Genesis. No, the fuck it doesn't. It is the Book of Jubilees is nothing but a look what all this stuff God did. And look how innocent we are. We are victims of God. Full of shit. Now, and I promised I wasn't going to go all Alex Jones like insane about what this book says. I keep it to myself because I could go all Alex Jones crazy on this book. I could. But I'm reading the book of Enoch. Okay. And the book of Enoch, I think, is what the thing was saying that it goes along with Genesis. But this book of Enoch, I am also having it. Hi, Miss My Duck. I miss my duck. I don't know how to get both the things to show themselves on here. I don't. It's not working so well. See, I don't know how to I don't know how to do it. So maybe I just stop sharing, turn this back on, show on stream. Okay, so my chats just won't show, apparently, but hi, Miss Duck. So what sold me on this book was it was supposed to go with Genesis. It was supposed to fill in some things from Genesis. Okay. The first part of this book, it's talking about he was telling the people. But again, like I've been saying, I don't know if this is pre-flood, post-flood, or mid-Exodus, because this book talks like it's in all three, but it was only written in one of these parts. And people are like, it's the oldest Bible, it's Noah's great-great-grandfather. Then how does he know about the commandments? Because there was no commandments at pre-flood or post-flood. There wasn't commandments until the the beginning of the middle of Exodus. Then they got commandments. And then it was talking about people going this way and people being holy and righteous and unrighteous. All of those words are Exodus words. They're not pre-flood words. They're Exodus words. And he's talking like he's in Exodus, but pre-flood. Sometimes it's very hard for me to understand. Like, it's so hard for me to understand that, like the Apocrypha, like the Book of Jubilees, it's like I'm half tempted to just quit this shit and say I wasted my money because it mixes the languages. And the other problem I have with the Book of Jubilees, it said Hebrew was the original language of the world, was Hebrew. And that's not true because Hebrew wasn't even a place. And then it said Abraham, the Chaldean, spoke and wrote in Hebrew. Not a thing. So I got so aggravated with that book, I quit reading it. So now I'm on the Book of Enoch. And personally, it seems like I'm just looking to find things wrong with these books because I believe the Old Testament. But because I believe the Old Testament and I know it's not the whole story, that I'm going and looking for other stories. But the second, it's like Dustin said, the second I see something I don't like, I quit reading it. Well, I'm trying not to be like that. But you know how to tell if someone's lying. If you watch true crime, you definitely know how to tell if people are lying because it's the details of the story. And if the details of the story don't add up, it's not true. And that is kind of the mindset I'm going off of. A, because I'm a criminal and that's just how I think. And B, I watch a lot of true crime. Also how I think. So it's like, based off my knowledge of things that I know and my extensive knowledge of the Old Testament, I can deduce that the Book of Jubilees is a fucking lie. Hebrew was not the first language. And Abe, the Chaldean, did not speak in Hebrew. And this book of Enoch, it's mixing three stories in one, but trying to make it one conducive story. But it can't be one conducive story because mental gymnastics. Because again, it starts in like the middle of the story and then goes back to the beginning of the story. And it's like, what fucking time frame is this happening in? And Miss Mudduck, my lovely over there on YouTube, said, well, this is Noah's great-great-grandfather. Noah's great-great-grandfather would have been pre-flood, and he probably died before the flood. But then it's saying that he's talking to the people about not following commandments, but there were no commandments. God the second hasn't even come into his own yet. He was trying to get rid of everything God the first. And again, that's an Exodus story. But the Exodus story uses a lot of the same language as Enoch. But Enoch couldn't have known the way of wording things, and he couldn't have known this. Which made me think maybe there's another Enoch. Which made me think I gotta read that fucking genealogy again. I have not read the genealogy again. I was going to try to do it the hard way first by asking other people what they know about it. And yes. Yeah, who the fuck knows? And the temple. I know where it was kept. Okay. And I know that everybody said, well, King James picked the Bible and he picked what was in it. Nah. Well, I could see why he kept these books out because they're fucking bullshit. And they don't make any damn sense at all. And if he would have put the shit in the Bible, if King James would have left this in the Bible, you would have believed the Bible less. That's how fucked up this shit is. And they might be the original Jews. They just might be. Because the Jews that are Jews now are Babylonian descendants. They have nothing to do with God blood. Like, not even a little bit do they have to do with God blood. And the people they left in Israel and Jewland and Judah were all poor people about to die to take care of the land. So, nobody gave a fuck about those people or gave them special treatment. No. All the original Jews are dead. They were dead long before the 70 years. They're all part of Babylon. But and also, I'm not a Christian. I have just as much of a hard time with the New Testament that I am having with these other books. The only book that I am actually 100% comfortable in is the Old Testament. And I'm not even going to lie about that. I believe the Old Testament because the story goes together. These stories don't fit in anywhere in the Old Testament. They fit in nowhere in the Old Testament. And I don't blame King James for keeping them out of the Bible because if this shit was in here, people definitely, even the people that believe in the Bible probably would not have believed in it because this book starts out, look at all the mean thing God did to us. Look at how mean God is. Yeah, God made me kill him because he was so mean. That's how this book starts out. Everything mean God ever did, even though he did all these things sticking up for himself. But like all victims, they start with everything bad the aggressor did. Even if it wasn't an aggressor, let's say a teenager killed his dad, he would start with every mean thing his dad did to him. And don't you understand why I killed him? I mean, he was so mean to me. Don't you understand? It started like that. That's how this book starts. Uh, uh, a scathing witness statement against God. It was an indictment. This book is an indictment. But then again, it's like all the stories, they start in the middle of the story and then go to the beginning of the story. But in the book of Enoch, and this is supposed to be pre-flood, but he's using post-flood Exodus language. And it's very hard for me to understand. Has anybody else ever read any of these books? And I had the same problem with the Apocrypha. And it was the book of Ruth. The book of Ruth is why I quit reading the Apocrypha. Because it was the same paragraph over and over and over, just with different details. And you're like, this book is full of shit. And then it turns out most all the books in the Apocrypha are like that. It's the same paragraph, but with different details. And it's like, I'm not reading this. I'm not reading this. But a part of me is like, I need to get over myself. But I don't want to go around spreading shit that I know is not right. But then I'm going to read it to you guys like it's fucking right. But it's not. It doesn't fit anywhere in the Old Testament. It says some of the same things, but differently. Like the best book I read was the Dead Sea Scrolls. I don't read the Bible. Find it intrusive in my relationship with my Creator. I understand that. I read only the Old Testament. The New Testament from the book Acts forward, all the books of the imposter Paul. I don't believe any of that, and I have a hard time with that as well because, yeah, it does kind of fuck shit up a lot. But I read the Old Testament. That is my book. That's where I shine the most, is the Old Testament. Because I believe that book the most. And I don't want to tell you what you can or cannot do. I'll tell you what I do. I read it because if you strip away everything. The Bible has its own personality. And if you read the Bible, like, if you don't read it like, and thou said, my God, come before me and crappity crap. If you're like, yo, God was like, hey, come and do this thing. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Makes it way more fun. Makes it way more fun. And that's what I do. I just joke around with God in this in his unofficial biography all the time. I have such a good time. But again, this is my first reaction to this book. Every time I read a page, it's my first time reading that page in this book. And it's like, this is really hard to get through. Because I first off, I don't know how to read it. Secondly, I can't make it any better because I don't know what it says. And the part that I do read, I just stop in the middle and I'm like, this is not a thing. You'll hear me do that a lot reading this book. It's like, this is not a thing. And I have such a hard time with it. And I know Miss Muddy also bought one of these books. We bought them for Christmas because it goes with Genesis. That's what the YouTube video said. The YouTube video said this is the greatest book and it fills in Genesis. But we read it and it's like, no, it's a Jew journal and a bunch of confusing crap. It's like real hard. And Miss Muddy, I told you the other day, you were my reason why I'm reading this. But I am having an existential crisis. I think that's what it's called. An existential crisis. Because I don't know. I don't know. I wanted to read the Sanskrit things, but I have the Enume Elish. Okay? But let me tell you, I have the Enume Elish, and I tried to read that. But the Enume Elish, I tried to read that and my life flipped upside down. Terribly. And then when I went back to the Bible, my life flipped right side back up. That hasn't happened with this Ethiopian Bible. I guess because it's not switching gods. It's not going from God the second to God the first. We're still in God the second. But it's so confusing. Oh, there goes that. I don't even know what that was. The last book was the Dead Sea Scrolls. Wait, do you think the Dead Sea Scrolls was that God the first or God the second? God the second comes in at well, at Exodus. Well, actually, Genesis. Well, okay. Again, that's a real hard thing to understand because there was an Adam and Eve before Adam and Eve, and we learned about that Adam and Eve in the first chapter of Genesis. Then we get to second Adam and Eve, the Adam that was made out of the ground. But the first Adam and Eve were just spiritual beings. beings. They were just beings. They didn't have a garden. They didn't have anything. God just forgot about them and made a new one. Not exactly sure why. Not exactly sure why. And I was hoping that one of these books was going to get into something like that. But I haven't made it that far because I can't get through fucking chapter 1. Okay, chapter 6. I'm not an expert on scriptures. Me neither. But Dead Sea Scrolls. That's like a Sanskrit thing. That would be God the First. Because those books are really old. Oh, I know what that was. Um, but do you guys wanna um well really I had no plan. I planned to do this, but I really had no plan what I was gonna do. Because honestly, I don't even know. But I know that I don't want to keep reading books and then stopping at the beginning because I'm pissed off about I don't know what's happening. Okay. So we'll just see. I'm looking at this. Okay. So this Ethiopian Bible mentions the name Jared. And chapter 5 of Genesis says Jared lived 162 and begot Enoch. Um, okay. And Enoch lived 65 years. Okay, but then it says Enoch walked with God 300 years. Oh, he was 65 when he had his son Methuselah, and he lived 300 years. So he lived total of 365. Okay, and then it says Enoch walked with God, and he was not, comma, for God took him. So, okay, that's all we know about Enoch. Enoch hung out with God like Noah. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, okay. So Enoch was Noah's great great grandfather. Great grandfather. Um, so wait a second. So Enoch died, and then he had a son, and his son had a son, and his son's son had a son whose name was Noah, because he would be the one to comfort us concerning our work. So Noah was 500 years old when he had his kids. So it took God a long time to make the flood. So what did Noah take his great grandfather's journal? It's like, you know what? This is the Bible now because it's my great grandfather's journal. No. Okay. Look. In the Ethiopian Bible, it says during the time of Jared, angels started having sex with women. But it seems like Jared was already dead before they talk about it in Genesis. But then it says in Genesis, the Lord said, my spirit is not going to be here forever because these guys suck. But over here in the book of Enoch, it says that Shemi Jazaz, who I think is actual Satan, because he was put down here in charge of his little section of people down here. They were the Watchers, the original Watchers. Okay, supposedly. Semi Jazaz was the worst one of them all because he was a leader. Okay. But where was I? Now I don't remember what I was saying. Brain injuries. Hold on. Yeah, now I don't remember. Miss Muddy, do you know what I was saying? Does anybody know what I was saying? What was I saying? I don't even know. Oh, yeah. Semi Jaza, who I think is Satan, was the leader. He was part of the original Watchers. Although the Bible says there was 8. There's 18 plus him, that's 19. And they were in charge of 200 other angels that came down here and began to multiply with women. And this was during the days of Jared. The this book says it was during the days of Jared. Although there was already 5 generations from Jared in the Old Testament. Yeah, I have no idea. See what I'm saying? I'm even confusing my own brain injury riddled heaven so fucked up. I don't even know. But you know what? I'm gonna quit trying to figure it out. Even though that's what my channel's supposed to do, figure shit out. I'm gonna quit trying to figure it out. Because the whole the whole thing is so you can figure out what it means for you. But if I'm trying to figure out what it means for me, how could you figure out what it means for you if I just keep putting my bullshit in here? What is the whole point of that? But then I kind of feel like if I don't figure it out, then I'm not going to be able to explain it in a way that would make it possible for you to even understand what it means, because I don't understand what it means. And a lot of people claim to understand what it means, but do they really? You know what I mean? They live long. It's hard for us to wrap our heads around it. Yeah, that is also very true. And the days were different back then. The days were different. Timing was different. Even the CO2 levels were different. I kind of understand that. But, Miss Muddy, you were there when we watched that thing on the Ethiopian Bible. Reading this book, it doesn't seem like anything that YouTube video said this Bible was going to be. And maybe it is like that. I'm just putting too much of my own knowledge into this shit, and I'm not reading it with an open mind because I'm very closed-minded. I need to learn how to read these books with a mindset of I don't know the Old Testament. Because maybe if I can read it like it isn't trying to, I don't even know, like it's not trying to do something to the Old Testament. Maybe if I forget the Old Testament, it'd be easier to remember. But I'm telling you what, this book, every day I read this book, I crave the Old Testament. It's like these other books, are making the Old Testament seem more and more appetizing and less like a bunch of fucking angry words. And if I stopped reading, that's it. If I stopped reading it like it wasn't trying to shit on the Old Testament, it might be a little bit better. But again, I'm saying, if King James would have kept this shit in the Bible, how much of the Bible would you have believed? I, yeah, and we said we would debunk it or not, remember. Yes, yes, but I feel like I'm debunking it myself because of my own feelings. Like, like and like, I don't get excited about very much. I don't. Nothing in my life excites me. But the Old Testament, now that lights my fire. But these books, they're really hard to get through. But why are they really hard to get through? I have no explanation for that. Other than it's like what doesn't say. This Bible doesn't say things I agree with. But it's different. Like, it's different. It's like open your criminal brain. You could see they're lying. But maybe it's not my place to say that. Maybe I feel a little guilty because I don't feel like it's my place to say those kind of things, especially when people believe it so much. And Miss Muddy, my feeling about telling people how I feel about the New Testament because a lot of people live and die on that book, and that book is a giant ass fucking lie too. But people need that book to survive, and people might need this book to survive. And who am I to shit on it? You know what I mean? But if somebody has to, I already have a really bad reputation. Why not I do it? But I shouldn't do it because I'm not in that place. But Miss Muddy, like you also have this book. So like when you're reading it by yourself or along with me, what do you think about it? Because yeah, I know it's my show and I can do whatever I want. Yeah, but the what do you think? Like am I going and like am I wrong? Am I wrong about this or am I close to right about it not making very much sense? And I'm glad this was kept out of the Bible because I would have never believed this book. If this was in that book, I would have never believed it because it doesn't make any sense. But again, that's just my feeling. It's just, what do you think? Okay, have a great day, Candy on BitChute. I hope you have a great day. And get some afternoon nookie because afternoon nookie is great. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. This is really, really awkward. Wow. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Yeah. We'll just, man, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Okay. There. Okay. Fuck it. We'll do it like that. It's a journal with strong feelings to tell a story. Yes. Yes. The story is all mixed up, isn't it? It's kind of weird, isn't it? Right. It's a fantasy novel that was written without one of those story paragraph web things, rewrite the thing in the middle of it, and then it's got all the lines that come off of it. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, probably. So we should just keep reading it like a fantasy novel. I'm mostly just kidding. I'm mostly just kidding because all of it could be read like a fantasy novel, which I read the Bible like a fantasy novel, but the story goes together. Yeah, exactly what you just said. It's all mixed up. Maybe if it flowed together, it would be a lot different. But this, I feel like maybe this is the hardest thing I've ever tried to accomplish in my life is read these other books. But how am I going to actually know what I think if I don't read it all the way through, right? He should be showing up soon. um, I don't know. But what do you think, Miss Muddy? Like, what is your um whole feelings on this thing? And my not my anything, but what do you think about this whole book? Like, what is your overview? Like, do you think it's worth all this trouble that I'm just gonna add you to in here also that we're going around trying to figure out, like, is it worth it? Or should we just go back to the Old Testament? That's just my excuse to go back to the Old Testament. But whatever you choose. And I will do my best to keep my mouth shut when it comes to the story. But it's going to be very hard, but I'll definitely do it. Do you want to smoke this joint with me? I do. I'm not excited about it anymore. Are you not excited about it because I keep shitting on it? See, that's the other thing I was worried about also was my constant urge to shit on things. Like, is that ruining it? See, I thought, now I've said it before when you guys didn't show up. I was like, I bet they didn't come because I can't keep my mouth shut. I can't stop shitting on this book. So I feel like a lot of that is my fault. But there are New Testament books in here, a few of them. Um, and also somebody sent me I guess a fantasy novel about an apostle called Gibbous. who was Jesus' best friend. And I didn't get it at first because I was like, Lazarus was Jesus' best friend. It wasn't some other guy. Turns out it was a fake novel that somebody wrote if they were this guy and Jesus' best friend. So somebody showed me a link to find that book. I'm at the bank. I can't. I'm at the bank, then driving. Oh, okay. Well, just know I'm going to smoke one for you. Hi, Road Dog. Welcome. Welcome. So good to see you. But okay. So can you hear me? Um, I lost my grinder. But Miss Muddy, before you start driving, what's on your mind? Like, what are you thinking? And Road Dog, also, what are you doing? What are you thinking? What's on your mind? I'll just ask everybody. Ooh, I know something that happened that's not Bible related. My friend had to take her dad off life support today. And I called my dad freaking out. Like, Dad, she had to pull her parents' life support. I don't know if I could do that. And my dad said, you better fucking pull my life support. I don't want to be on that shit. I said, well, you better put that somewhere because I'll feel bad and just keep you alive forever. And my dad said, do not fucking do that. You know, do not do that. You're doing me more favors by pulling the plug than doing me keeping the plug open. He's like, do not fucking do that. And I just keep thinking about, like, man, I would hate to have to do that. But then the other part of me thinks I was on life support. I guess I'm luckily that they didn't pull my take me off life support. Granted, I was only on life support for like a month, and it turns out I was fine. But I don't know. My life sucks, so it wouldn't have even mattered to me if they kept me alive or not. Because my life sucked before, and my life sucks after. So if it happened to me again, I would definitely want the plug pulled. But I'm gonna write that shit down so nobody has to be stuck with that decision. I'll pull my own fucking plug. I don't care. But pulling somebody else's plug, that seems like it would be a hard decision, wouldn't it? I don't know. Weird things happen to me. But I don't know how to reconcile that. I just rolled a joint big enough for 4 people, so hopefully 4 people are here. What about you, Road Dog? Have you ever had to pull anybody's plug? I know you guys are a lot older than me, so maybe you've had to do it before. What's it like? Is it a hard decision? Like, never being in that situation, I just assume it would be a hard one to make, but is it a hard one? I'm gonna assume it would only be a hard decision just for me. It's a hard decision. Or only I would think it was a hard decision. Oh, A from PA. I wonder if she's gonna come in. She knows things. No, nothing. Okay. Well, I've been on here almost an hour. Okay. Yay! We did absolutely nothing in an hour. But I guess in that hour, I've decided. Well, actually, I don't even know what I decided. No, yes, I do. We need to find out. We just at least need to finish reading the book of Enoch because, well, it's a journal of Noah's great grandfather. It did happen pre flood, it happened all the way up until the flood because then he obviously got killed in the flood because that's what happened to everybody but Noah. He couldn't keep his grandfather. So maybe Noah took his grandfather's journal on the boat with him. And maybe it was passed all the way down to Moses. And then Moses just rewrote what was in Noah's grandfather, great grandfather's journal or something like that. We're just going to assume that that's not what happened. But be funny if it did, though. Anyway. But yeah, we're gonna have to finish. Keep reading this. We're gonna have to keep reading this Ethiopian journal. So I don't. Maybe the whole reason that it was ordained on us to write this book or read this book, it was ordained for us to read this book so we could discern truth from lie. So we could be able to tell what was real and what wasn't real. Maybe something like that. Maybe it may only be a thing for me. But if I'm learning it, I'm telling you guys, so you guys would be learning it also. So maybe there's a big group project on can you spot the liar? Oh, that's Dustin sending me stuff. I guess I'm being too loud. Oh, man. So, I guess we're going to go ahead and get off here because I didn't know what I was doing when I did it. Well, I planned to do this. I just did not plan for what would happen when I did do it. I guess mostly I wanted to come on and do a video diary of my I don't even know the word, my trepidation to finishing this book. That's what it is. It's a trepidatious video journal diary entry. We'll just call this episode Trepidation. I'm mostly just kidding. I already named it. So, anyway, I want to thank y'all for watching. I want to tell you get some afternoon nookie. Oh, shit. It's almost dinner time. Yeah, then don't get nookie. Don't have nookie right now. You'll get cramps and it'll be terrible and your dinner will taste like shit. So, wait till after my next live stream. Then get laid. All right. I love y'all. I'm out of here. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Miss Muddy, I love you. Don't text and drive. I love you. Bye. Road dog. I will see you later tonight. Well, actually, I'll see both of you later. But Miss Muddy, I love you in the meantime. Don't text and drive. Bye.